I'm going to call this meeting of the Oskaloosa City Council to order. Today is Monday, April 21st of 2025. Before we get going with the meeting, I have an announcement from the police or from the fire chief that we're a little higher capacity than what would be allowed by fire code. So at this point, we just ask that we keep the ability to walk through the walkways open in the event that there should be some sort of emergency. With that in mind, we start with the invocation by Bethel Baptist Church.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you with grateful hearts this Easter season, rejoicing in the victory of you, Jesus, our Lord and Savior. We thank you for the cross and even more for the empty tomb. For through your resurrection, we have the promise of new life both now and forever. I pray that you grant our city leaders wisdom, your wisdom and discernment rooted in truth and hearts that are led for love for the people of Oskaloosa. Pray that you would bless this meeting and our community as a whole. May everything we do be for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pat. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Ibrahim?
Here.
Ocean? Here. Alden?
Here.
Caliguri?
Here.
Hufford?
Here.
Strauss?
Here.
Hermsen?
Here.
Okay. Next item up is the opportunity for community comments. This item is reserved to receive comments from the community for concerns whether or not they're included on the current agenda. The community is encouraged to speak before the mayor and city council. Asked to keep statements brief. Time is limited to no more than 3 minutes. Any questions are to be asked of the city staff, the council members, or the mayor prior to speaking to the full council. So that way concerns can be properly researched and perhaps answered away from the meeting. Comments are to be directed to the mayor and city council only. Is there anyone who would like to speak tonight?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and fellow citizens. My name is Alicia Helm, and I represent the Stop the Airport group. I rise tonight not out of animosity, but out of a deep concern for the ethical integrity of our city government and the transparency owed to the people of Oskaloosa. We are here because trust in our local government is at a breaking point. On tonight's agenda, we are faced with the potential appointments of Councilmember Bob Dross and Mayor Crutchfield to the South Central Regional Airport Agency Board, a body that wields significant power over a project that has already stirred widespread controversy in our community and beyond. Let me be clear, this is not a political disagreement. This is about ethics. This is about conflict of interest, and this is about public trust. Councilmember Dross is a current employee of Musco Sports Lighting, a company that has been the driving force and primary backer of the SCRA airport project. He holds a managerial position at Musco, a company with a direct and ongoing financial interest in the airport's construction. Yet, Mr. Dross has already voted on critical matters directly affecting the airport without recusing himself. This is a direct conflict of interest. It undermines the law and it violates the public's trust. Now he is being considered for an appointment to the SCRA board, effectively placing a representative of Musco on a public governing body. This would embed corporate influence on decisions that should be made impartially on behalf of Oskaloosa citizens. And then there's the case of the mayor. As the chief elected official of Oskaloosa, his duty is to represent and defend the interests of our city. But by seeking appointment to a separate quasi-governmental body, one that often holds differing interests in our city, he is stepping into a dangerous dual role. Let's remember, the SCRA controls issues like eminent domain, land use, and funding, all of which directly impact Oskaloosa residents. If the city of Oskaloosa provides oversight or financial support to the SCRA, then both of these appointments fall squarely under the ethical conflict territory under Iowa Code 68B.2a. Even more troubling, both of these appointments are originally buried in the consent agenda 2 weeks ago, a move that appears to have been designed to dodge public scrutiny. It was only after the community spoke up that they were moved to open discussion. That alone tells us everything we need to know. There is an awareness of impropriety, and there is a pattern of pushing forward without transparency or accountability. We are calling on the council to do the right thing, to immediately halt these appointments, recuse any conflicted members from further SCRA related actions and seek guidance from the Iowa Ethics and Campaign Disclosure Board. Because our government is only as strong as the trust the public places in it, and right now that trust is eroding and very fastly. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak tonight?
Hello, I'm Trent Kerr. I live at 813 North C Street in Oskaloosa. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of myself and the fellow citizens of Oskaloosa in reference to the proposed airport and the formation of the South Central Regional Airport Association Board, SCRAW. It is my understanding that there is an intent to vote this evening for some members of our local government to move forward in appointing members to the SCRAW board. I would like to ask the council to consider the history of the citizens' response to these proposed actions since the beginning of this airport travesty. My questions would be, have the citizens of Oskaloosa had an opportunity to vote on this matter? Yes, they have. What were the results of this vote? The people said no. We have elected officials, have our elected officials acted on behalf of the vote? And has the use of our tax dollars reflected the voices of the people of the city regarding to this matter? The answer to this question is no. With these questions, I am reminded of a major piece of American history. December the 16th, 1773, Boston, Massachusetts. The citizens stated there will be no taxation without representation. You may have some knowledge of this event. It's known as the Boston's Tea Party. Okay. We, the people of Oskaloosa, have voted no for this airport, yet the city council has continued to push the issue. If you listen to the people of this city, it is clear to see that there is no need for a SCRAW board. So instead of moving forward with the appointment of the city council member Drost and our mayor Crutchfield to the SCRAW board, I call on you to remove those items from the agenda tonight and replace them with a motion to withdraw from the SCRAW completely. We, the citizens of Oskaloosa, demand proper representation from our elected officials in this and in all matters. As you may recall in American history, taxation without representation has started wars. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak tonight?
Good evening, everybody. Nick Ryan, Oskaloosa. I first want to thank, again, council members Ocean and Almond, and especially Councilman Comfort for the wisdom and courage they demonstrated at the December 16th meeting in voting no on the amended 2080 agreement for the South Central Regional Airport. In particular, the words that Councilman Comfort spoke before that vote are just as true today as they were then. That the SCRAW lacks any meaningful public support, has become the poster child for the erosion of public trust, and that it is long time to put this behind us. But instead of doing that and sparing the Oskaloosa taxpayers further abuse, Mayor Crutchfield and Councilman Drost are choosing to double down on it and are seeking their own appointments to the SCRAW board. This council should know that even absent resolution of pending formal complaints, the facts are evident under Iowa Code 68B2A, conflict of interest, and 721.2, non-felonious misconduct in office. This is not merely unethical, it may very well be illegal. And any council member who knowingly supports or enables these appointments and continuing conflict of interest could be exposing themselves and the city to serious civil and possibly criminal liability. The city and its taxpayers have already paid the price of bad legal advice. The city and SCRAW have lost repeatedly in the courts, including at the Supreme Court. These losses have cost the city of Oskaloosa not only money but credibility. They've frayed our relationship with Mahaska County, they have seeded division, and they've come every step of the way at taxpayer expense. The city cannot afford to keep getting this wrong. If you move forward with these appointments and continue to double down on this failed project, you will not only be ignoring the will of the people, you may be violating the law, and you will certainly be endangering the last remnants of public trust. I am asking those of you with the wisdom and courage to do so to exercise your procedural authority and remove these appointments from tonight's agenda. And most importantly, make sure that the agenda for the next meeting and every meeting after that includes the withdrawal of Oskaloosa from the SCRAW until the coffin is nailed shut on this boondoggle once and for all. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, Brent Ullman, from Oskaloosa, South Market Street. I'm come here today for two reasons. I'm going to address something that's on tonight's agenda that is very meaningful to me, but first I'm going to ask a hard question that all of you need to consider, and that is, are you going to be team fins, or are you going to be team feathers? You see, there's going to be an uplifting puppet parade on June 14th, and the theme is fins and feathers, and there will be many opportunities for kids through creative adults and even maybe adjacent creative adults, like people. I've made things before that'd be really fun to decide which side that they're going to be on, whether you're going to make a fish outfit, puppet, cartoon, costume, whatever you want to make, or if you're going to make one of a bird. But let's get serious for a second. There is an item that is voted on today that I would think would make a lasting impact on this city, and it is the Oskaloosa Children's Museum. I've sat on boards or on comp plans, and I've done a lot of talking with people about what do we need in this city, and there needs to be more opportunities for kids to have educational and enriching play and ways to develop. And we have some great things in the arts, in theater and in visual arts, but this plan that I've looked over, it would set our community apart, but be parallel with our vision that's in that comp plan of leaning into Oskaloosa as a creative place. So when it comes time to discuss that, look hard and know that this is very much backed by the creative community as something that would really bring people. If you're going to come to this town to work and you have little kids and there's this place that's just for them, man, it's gonna really mean a lot. So thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Anyone else speak tonight? Okay, moving on. Next item up is the swearing in of the Oskaloosa police officer. Get to the point here. Officer Isaac Nienkirk. He was raised in Oskaloosa and graduated from high school last year. During high school, he spent 4 years in the Oskaloosa video production class and served as a peer helper during his senior year. Peer help focused on topics such as impaired and distracted driving, seatbelt usage, and suicide prevention. Being a peer helper pushed Officer Nienkirk to want to serve his community further as a career, and Officer Nienkirk enjoys spending time with his family and keeping in shape outside of work. Officer Nienkirk, you're already up there? I need to make a move. You can come forward and face me. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Isaac Nienkirk,
I, Isaac Nienkirk,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and comply with
that I will support and comply with
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Iowa,
the Constitution and the laws of the state of Iowa,
the charter laws and ordinances of the city of Oskaloosa,
the charter laws and ordinances of the city of Oskaloosa,
the rules and regulations of the Oskaloosa Police Department,
the rules and regulations of the Oskaloosa Police Department,
the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of my position
discharge the duties of my position
as police officer to the best of my ability.
as police officer to the best of my ability.
Welcome aboard. Right up on this line. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I know that guy in school.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Next item up is consent agenda. These are all items that are routine in nature. They will be adopted as a single motion unless something's pulled off. I did want to draw the attention to item I, which is the appointment of Todd Lappin as a representative to the Airport Commission, Oskaloosa Airport Commission, that is. And then also item N, which is a resolution scheduling a public hearing on the vacation and sale of a 16.5 foot by 256.5 foot section of the east-west alley adjacent to 901 E Avenue West. This is a hearing that will take place on May 19th. Do we have a motion of support for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Hermson,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Getting to the regular agenda, item A is a proclamation signing for Arbor Day. And so it is a proclamation I'm signing today, and I'll go ahead and read that out. It states, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource that gives us paper and wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, I, Mayor David Kreutzfeld, hereby proclaim Friday, April 25th of 2025 as Arbor Day in the city of Oskaloosa, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And furthermore, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Signed today. Moving on. Item B. And so tonight I'm trying to remember the last time we had 15 items on the regular agenda. We've knocked down one.
Who sets the agenda again?
So, okay, item B is to consider a resolution for support of the Oskaloosa Children's Museum project. Stuart, I believe this is your item that you brought forward?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor, City Council. And as we just had a study session for the strategic plan and what that looks like moving forward, this inadvertently brings on a great opportunity to discuss what Brian has already talked about. As part of Main Street Oskaloosa, they have 4 areas, 4 subcommittees. The design committee is one of them. And Linda Howard, who is here with us, is the chairperson. She was the person responsible to corral us all into a room. And Fiona Lindhock is leading the charge in the Oskaloosa Children's Museum. She's here tonight to present the Children's Museum project and answer questions you may have.
Thank you. And thank you, Council, for giving us some time on the agenda. I will try and keep this as brief as possible. The Oskaloosa Children's Museum is a new 501c3 nonprofit registered here in Oskaloosa. As Stu has said, there are various different people working on this project. The design committee, as part of the Main Street body, are in support of that and providing some critical effort for research. And I'll get into that in a little moment. So we, for years, have been looking at what else could be added to the excellence in Oskaloosa. And as Brent has already brought forward this evening, there's a great rich selection of children's and young people's activities, arts and culture groups already here in Oskaloosa. But we believe that a children's museum would add to that and perhaps be a connecting hub for all of these existing organizations. So we began by looking deeply at community feasibility study and assessment So looking at the geographical region, if you would pull up the next slide, within the 40-mile radius of Oskaloosa, we've got 4 major colleges or universities, 32 school districts in the area, and for this region, which is somewhat considered rural, we do have a significant number of children. So in all of these communities, within this 40-mile radius, we have good numbers of children either under the age of 10 or all the way up to the age of 18 at the moment, showing viable populations who could come and visit a children's museum. Looking at visitor potential for a children's museum, we've worked with the Association of Children's Museum, which is the national governing body for children's museums, both in the United States, but they also govern and link museums internationally for children. And they recommend that if we were to offer somewhere in the region of 6,500 square feet of exhibit space, we could see a visitor potential of up to 52,000 of annual visitors. Those would be day visitors, and that does not include things like field trips from those 32 school districts. The closest children's museums to Oskaloosa are over 70-mile drive, either Des Moines direction or Iowa City direction. So we feel that there's a good gap in place for offering a smaller children's museum, not quite of that large-scale city size, but appropriate for the level and sizes of communities that we have within the south central region of Iowa. As part of our research, we made sure that we were in good conversation with organizations already in the Oskaloosa community or Mahaska County area. We wanted to make sure that this project would complement and not compete. So, for example, as we look at the design elements of a children's museum, we want to make sure that we're not repeating something that already exists in town. We don't want to pull children or young people from existing activities and offer them a same place to go. We want to offer something different or complementary. So we've made sure that we've spoken with almost all organizations representative who work with children, whether it's the George Daly Auditorium and their theater programming, or out at the Environmental Learning Center. And so we've done an extensive project to get a picture of what that looks like, which we believe is the first time that's really been done in the Oskaloosa area. And so we've gathered statistics from each organization to show how many youth and young people they interact with, how frequently they interact with those young people, and what kinds of things that they offer to do with them. And again, this is to inform whether or not we feel that this is a viable project, different enough, and could complement, not compete. In terms of design, we are looking at building a children's museum that would offer both role play and imaginative play opportunities for children, as well as pull in elements of STEM learning, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics, or STEAM these days, which also includes art. Our idea is to create a replica Oskaloosa to be able to celebrate all that this community has to offer, the local businesses and organizations that exist, whether we have the fire department represented or we have a business like Clow and what they create and manufacture here. We want our children to be interacting in the space that they live in every day. And educationally, that is proven to be an excellent way to get children engaged in learning. For our other levels, as you can see here, the imaginative play options are somewhat never-ending. We have a really diverse selection of businesses here, veterinary clinic, post office, etc. That second story level of STEM rooms, we're kind of thinking of educational labs. So could we have anything from art and creativity different to, for example, the makerspace in the library that already exists, so a different kind of an art offering, or a mechanical engineering space? Could we partner with William Penn University, who have excellent programs in place, and students that are learning at a higher engineering level come in and teach our young people and get them invigorated in STEM learning for a future workforce? One other area of development that we'd like to see is a sensory room for children with special needs, and that is something that does not exist widely in this region at all. So we believe that a project like this would offer incredible benefits, not just to children and young people, but grandparents that are helping support critical infrastructure for a workforce that may be caretaking during the week and want a place to take their grandchildren as they look after them, or for daycare, private care, field trips to come and visit. And for businesses that are choosing to invest and stay in Oskaloosa, we believe this will help for employee recruitment and retention. And it will be a great amenity for the city to offer. So our ask this evening, as we've worked at all of this. We are up to the point of grant writing for this project, and we have several private donors that have already come forward. We are on our way and progressing, which is wonderful. Our ask to the city is for your support of the project. It is not an ask for financial support at this time, but simply an offer of support in the form of a letter that we could use in our grant writing process to show that we have the local support to back this as a community-driven project. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any questions on the part of the council?
I talked to Linda today, and Angie's here, and I'm glad she's here. My concern was location.
Sure.
And the funding, which you already said that today when I talked to Linda, that they weren't going to ask for funding, and we were talking about 52,000 people. And she said they'd like to be located close to the town or downtown, and I said, okay, as sitting on with Angie on several different things, we have a lot of business owners that are very unhappy about the parking situation, right? We know that. And so my concern was, I think it's great because the Environmental Learning Center, plenty of parking, George Daly, plenty of parking, Nelson Pioneer, plenty of parking, the library, plenty of parking. We don't have parking down here. And so I can see 52,000 people, which, don't get me wrong, they renovated my old Amtrak station in my hometown 15 years ago. It's at 3 levels. Taking my children there when they were young, it's a fantastic idea. I love the idea. I was just concerned about the location and the traffic because, as Angie can tell you, we have a lot of people that are right now, even currently, unhappy with the parking situation, even as we have it right now. So that was my only concern, but 100% for the Child Museum.
Yeah.
100%.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would second that about the parking. I had some angry texts this last week about the parking. Like I could certainly wait to imagine.
And having worked at a business in the Main Street district for the last few years before moving full time into working on this project, I can understand that, and it's something that we heard in that local business. But I do know that the city does have resources of public parking spaces. And I currently already volunteer and serve in a mom and young children group that meet in the Main Street district. And those moms and kids walk. So they walk, they park relatively several blocks away, and they choose to spend the extra time walking with their children to enjoy our city space. They come to the toddler time, and then they leave and they walk on, and they maybe go to Smoky Row or another business, or they walk through the park and they extend their time. So our hope would be that that would be a pattern that visitors fall into, but we do appreciate and hear the concern.
And honestly, my middle daughter can't walk. So some people can't,
Absolutely.
and that, especially too if you're talking about grandparents coming to that as well. So anyway, but very, very creative. I've seen a number of good child museums in West Des Moines near Valley Junction.
Yes.
I worked at the Mississippi Museum there. If you have a water feature to your sensory,
Everybody loves water.
Absolutely. But those have been, for my children, the most memorable experiences they've had, when they look back on what did we do. So, great ideas.
Thank you.
Just want to say thank you for thinking of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a great opportunity for our community and surrounding communities. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have a motion of support for the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ullman,
Yes.
Caligiuri,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Hermsen,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Getting to item C, this is the Code Enforcement Quarterly Report. Chief?
I don't know they were clapping for you, Mike.
I know. You have a tough act to follow.
Yeah, this is not quite as exciting. Just a reminder,
You have a water
Mike
feature.
Mosby with Fire Department Code Enforcement. This is our quarter 1, 2025, January 1st and March 31st. Wrap up. All right. Just a reminder, goal of the program, to encourage private property owners to maintain their properties within established community standards and uphold the city council's directive to eliminate nuisance conditions that negatively affect community appeal, reduce community pride, and threaten to reduce property values. Okay, first quarter, total of 92 cases, and 75 of those cases have been closed. And got the breakdown. Dilapidated structures, 6 total, 1 of those was closed. Hard surface parking violations, inoperable vehicles, 24 cases, 19 of those were closed. Garbage or junk, 62 cases, 59 of those were closed, for a total of 92 cases and 79 closed.
Mike, on the dilapidated, is that unlivable? What is
Not necessarily unlivable, but could be like gutters falling off,
Oh.
shingles coming off, paint. We've been getting on some buildings that have paint issues as well. Following are a couple examples of cleanups that we have conducted or tenants have conducted. And let's see, first one, 327 North B. This was kind of a unique case. Working with the landlord, he informed me that they were in the process of evicting this tenant. So it took a lot of extra time. I think we had a call from Ben letting us know what was going on. Took way longer than it should have, but had to abide by all outstanding laws. We got the after pictures. I didn't get a good one of in front of the bushes there, but all of that stuff was cleaned up. It looks presentable today for sure. 611 Fifth Avenue West. There's several slides to this one. I couldn't fit it all onto one slide and capture everything that was going on here. This has been a frequent flyer, and we've been monitoring very closely because it gets out of hand pretty quick. So that is after it was abated by the tenant. He actually got it done in about 3 or 4 days, so congrats to him. 502 North Market. This is also kind of a unique situation. I'm not going to go into detail on what happened, but this lady really needed some help, and she had 1 or 2 kids with her. I'm not sure. 1 or 2 kids were there, and Chief rounded up some external help to help clean up, and she got a dumpster there, and I'm not sure how many people we had there, probably 10 or 15. A lot of community hands helping clean up this place.
Fantastic. Oh, I was there.
And this one kind of went viral. I'm sure some of you had seen pictures. 401K Avenue East that we abated. Again, lots of pictures here. 2 or 3 don't do it justice.
Was there a story behind that as well? The eviction type thing? Or?
It's a foreclosure, I
It wasn't
think.
an eviction. She had left the house, and a third-party company, the housing company bought it. They had a third-party company come in and clean it out. And obviously, they didn't abide by city code and threw it all over the place. Obviously, this is leading up to the school. A lot of sidewalks were blocked, a lot of kind of dangerous materials. I think there's quickcrete, paint, wood with nails in it, oil, antifreeze, all kinds of stuff. And our goal, thanks to the PD as well, our goal was to get it cleaned up by the time school's out, so kids have a safe place to walk. And we kind of managed it, but specifically thank you to Officer O'Day and Nuno. They were a big help in that. They actually helped clean up too. But they also ran traffic control for any kids walking by.
Appreciate that.
And the street department, yes, they helped out a ton.
Does that go back on the moving people then? The
What's
fine,
that?
did the fine go back
It's
on?
actually been paid already.
Yeah, it was issued to the people that bought the house, or the company that bought the house, and they paid up. Any questions from council or mayor?
Mowing season is coming, Mike.
Yep, I'm watching it grow.
And there's no way I'd expect you to have an answer to this, but do we have, we've been doing this now for a few years, do we have any sense of trends as far as, are we seeing fewer nuisances than we did, say, 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
That's a little out of my knowledge. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm doing everything that I can to keep them down.
Yeah.
Are we?
I think we're seeing roughly about the same amount, maybe some new players in the game, but as he stated earlier, we've got some people that we just unfortunately know if we drive to their area after 3 or 4 months, we're probably gonna have a green ticket to write.
Okay.
So just trying to stay on top of them.
Yeah, sure appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Any other questions?
Keep up the good work.
All right, thank you.
That's funny.
Item D, this is to consider a resolution amending and certifying the fiscal year 2025 budget amendment. So this is the time for a public hearing on amending and certifying the fiscal year 2025 budget amendment. The resolution amends total revenue to $46,814,011. It's a decrease of $1,800,921. And expenses, those go to $47,086,614. And that's a decrease of $1,510,900. And the ending balance has now increased $4,268,143 to $33,201,826. And the change is just due to the timing of projects and also receipt of reimbursements and donations and grants as well as expenses for the projects. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the 2025 budget amendment? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for this resolution?
So move. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Calgery,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item E. This is to consider a resolution adopting the annual budget for fiscal year 2026 and levying the tax. And so this will also have a public hearing. The resolution sets the tax levy at $14.45716. The total revenues are $41,899,571. Total expenses, $50,098,038. And so the ending balance, that will decrease $8,198,467 to a balance of $25,003,359. So in the packet, there's a spreadsheet that shows the revenues, expenses, and ending balances by fund. The general fund balance is decreasing $90,000. Road use tax decreases $371,554 due to equipment purchases. The water department is increasing $7,712. The sanitary sewer is decreasing $5,926,389 due to using cash on hand for the wastewater treatment plant improvements. And stormwater, it's increasing $135,163 due to an increase in fees. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the 2026 annual budget and tax? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion from council?
I've got two things. Number one, I'm glad you're an accountant and that you have the privilege of reading all those numbers, because there's a lot of numbers and a lot of big numbers. Number two, if we go back, I think it was a month ago when we had our levy hearing based on the state disclosures and everything, I just want to say that I appreciated it. I think it was Randy Plama, Gary Green, and Gary Staggs who showed up, and we had a great conversation. And they, at the end of the day, they just wanted to know, what's happening to my property taxes? And we sat here and we helped them understand that because of these state disclosures that are not simple, we needed Pam's help to walk through so we could all understand. And I just really appreciated the dialogue and just the conversation we were able to have, and we all left with a great understanding of what we're talking about and how those numbers actually pan out. So just wanted to say thank you to those guys for showing up for good dialogue.
Talking through. Okay. Other comments? Roll call, please.
Comfort,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to item F. This is to consider a resolution adopting the City of Oskaloosa Capital Improvement Plan for fiscal years 2026 through 2030. Per Iowa Code Section 384.153, a city is required to hold a public hearing on its capital improvement plan. The City Council met on January 23rd of 2025, discussed projects, priorities, funding strategies during that budget session. The city is required to formally adopt the 5-year capital improvement plan, and that's subject to annual review and revisions, of course. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the capital improvement plan? Okay, seeing none, I'll close that. Do we have a motion of support?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Drost,
Yes.
Hermsen,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to item G. This is a resolution approving vacation and sale of the eastern 60-foot by 16.5-foot portion of an east-west alley. It's adjacent to 407 South C Street. Staff did receive the alley vacate request from Frogger Properties, who is the owner of the property located at 407 South C. It's for the alley that's mentioned before. The property owner listed the reason for the request to vacate as just that they own both properties and need the alley between for additional parking off-street. The subject alley is in the residential R2 zone district. Planning and Zoning Commission considered the request at their meeting on April 8th of 2025, recommended approving the alley vacate by a vote of 8-0 approval. Staff conducted a survey of the property owners and utility companies who have direct access to it. None of the property owners responded were opposed. In the survey of the utility companies, several indicated there was infrastructure in the alley, so there would be the need for easements in order to maintain access. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Okay. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
We're not having any restrictions, Vaughn, Chief Vaughn, if we have a fire or anything like that, we'd still have access when there's nothing limiting anything on that. Okay.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Hermsen,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Drost,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item H. This is to consider a resolution approving the vacation of a 66-foot wide by 20-foot long portion of South B Street. So staff has requested that a public hearing be held for the vacation of this section of South B Street located immediately north of 2nd Avenue West. The subject street is located in a downtown commercial zoning district. The segment was previously vacated on July 17th of 1989 by ordinance number 797, section 1.5, but had not been recorded with the county. So there has been interest in this property, and due to the age of the previous action, the city attorney has recommended that an additional public hearing be held before a sale is considered. Oskaloosa Municipal Code section 12.24020 requires that street vacate requests be referred to the Planning and Zoning Commission. That commission voted 8-0 in favor of recommendation for the vacation. So this does require a public hearing. I'll open it up. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for this vacation?
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Drost,
Abstain.
Hermsen,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Okay, let's see. Item I is to consider a motion appointing Mayor Dave Creutzfeldt to the South Central Regional Airport Agency. On December 16 of 2024, the City Council approved the 2080 agreement amendment with the City of Pella in regard to the SCRAA, South Central Regional Airport Agency. The amendment removed the Mahaska County member and revised the agreement to have 3 members from the City of Oskaloosa. At the time of this writing, there are 2 vacancies. At the April 7, 2025 City Council meeting, Mayor Creutzfeldt proposed that the appointment of himself and Bob Drost, later tabled it to the next meeting because I wanted to hear from all council members. Mayor Creutzfeldt seeks appointment since he has been involved in the creation of the 2080 agreement and is aware of the history and challenges of the SCRAA over the years. This appointment would be similar to the appointment made by Pella of their mayor. So in the 2080 agreement, Article 2, Section 2C states that due to Dave Creutzfeldt being an elected official, he would serve only during the time he holds office. entitling him to such representative status unless terminated by resolution of the party so represented. So let's start off with this. Do we have a motion of support?
Second.
Okay. Discussion. I want to open it up first off with our city attorney. So there's been some discussion of ethics complaints being made to myself, and then I guess we could also talk to that of Bob Drost. Have you had a chance to evaluate that, and do you have any opinions on it?
You know, I do have opinions, and thank you for asking. I would certainly agree with what Ms. Helms said initially, that the airport is something that has engendered very strong feelings and emotions within our community. I became mayor, goodness, back in 2005, and when I became mayor, the airport was an old issue then, and there's been a lot going on with the whole project since that time. Having said that, I do not believe that there's conflict under the provisions of the code relative either to you or to Bob Drost. Now, to look at those two separately, with you, I think that's crystal clear. Obviously, you do not have any involvement or any connection with any other entity on the thing. Once again, I recognize there are very strongly held opinions about this, but simply because some people or some segments of the community may be opposed to something, that does not mean there's conflict of interest on your part. Now, branching out from that and kind of reaching to the issue then with Bob on the face that it might invite more close scrutiny when you think, well, there may be some connection with Musco here. But on balance, I'm still of a mind that under the code provisions there is not a conflict for a couple reasons. Number one, looking at code provisions, I don't believe it's there, but more fundamentally, if you look, the new 28E agreement that the city has, and it was previously entered with Pella for the South Central Regional Airport Agency, essentially that has been, and it's been relegated to being basically an advisory agency at this point in time. Looking at the express terms and provisions of that, the agency does not have the authority to purchase any land absent the express written approval by the City Council of the City of Pella and Oskaloosa. Likewise, there is, it specifically provides that the Commission cannot start down the road with any construction contracts, once again, absent any written approval by the Pella City Council and the Oskaloosa City Council. Likewise, there's separate provision in there that the agency cannot proceed with any eminent domain proceedings absent the express approval of the City of Oskaloosa and the City of Pella. So, quite frankly, the agency has essentially been relegated to an advisory role, if you will. Now, those are kind of my legal thoughts on the thing. The practical implication, though, to some extent, I think it has kind of become a moot issue. And what I mean by that, I am not privy to the inner workings of the commission or their meetings and such. But my understanding generally of where things are at is it's not simply a situation where the whole project has been paused. My general understanding is that it is more at the end of the road, and I don't see the project going forward at this time. So on balance, I am of a mind, and my opinion is, that there is not a conflict of interest for you as mayor or for Bob for those reasons.
Okay, thank you. So the reason this was pulled and then put back on the table was because I wanted to get input from all council members. And so, Lisa, why don't we start with you? Do you have any opinions that you'd like to express?
You said, just a couple questions. You said
Sure.
that this is no longer, it's kind of reached the end of its road. I know I looked at the scoreboard, it started in 2012, so it's been going on for 13 years.
Project's a lot older than that, I know,
Okay.
because once again, when I became mayor in 2005, it was an old project at that time even. And I'm not sure when SCRAA would have been created, I'd have to look back, but I know the project itself has been around for decades, literally.
Okay. Anytime when there's controversy, there's always questions of money. Has there been audits on the scoreboard and that?
Quite frankly, I would not know. As I said, I've not been privy to that. Now, as you asked that question, with my peripheral vision, I caught Bob nodding his head. So I assumed that somebody more familiar with that might be able to indicate. My understanding generally is that there are some discussions ongoing right now with the Federal Aviation Administration relative to the granting of the funds that had previously been granted.
Joe?
I have no comments.
Okay, Charles?
I guess y'all are gonna find out how I feel about it when I vote, but I just want to, I guess, say that I'm just starting to get just a little tired of the pitting each other against each other. I don't think you can get good people to run for office if we file complaints months after the fact, if we whisper about people in the community. I've always told people that if I'm going to stab somebody, you're going to see me coming at you from the front with a knife. I'm getting kind of tired of watching people get knifed in the back. I've been knifed in the back in the past few weeks, so I guess y'all are going to find out how I feel about it here in a little while. But I'm just disappointed by just the divisiveness that's just permeating the community right now.
Janet?
Yeah, we obviously need representation due to the 28E agreement, and you know, we do hold assets and we need people to manage those assets, and that is why I feel comfortable.
Okay. Bob?
I've just got a couple of comments. Probably have a lot more, but I think two points of clarification. I think based on comments that were made at our last meeting 2 weeks ago, and some of them were very pointed. I'll address those later. But 2 points of clarification. Number one, a comment was made that the SCRA board should be a cross-section of the public. And that's a quote from the public comment 2 weeks ago. The SCRA is a partnership between the city of Pella and the city of Oskaloosa, with members to the board appointed by each council. Okay? I, as a council member, we as a city council are a cross-section of the public. I represent Ward 2. Janet represents Ward 1. Rhonda represents Ward 3. Abu represents Ward 4. Charlie and Joe and Lisa are at large. So they are elected by the city as a whole. So each ward essentially represents each quadrant of the city. So we have one representative from each quadrant, plus 3 at-large that represent the whole community. I'm not sure how you get a better cross-section of the community, and all of us are elected officials. Okay? So in November, there's going to be another election. There's 4 seats up. Okay? When I ran the last time, I was appointed for an original 1.5-year term to fill out the term of Tom Jimenez. I have since run 2 times, both of which I was unopposed, except for a last-minute write-in attempt a year and a half ago. Okay? I believe that Lisa, Charlie, Janet, and Rhonda all ran unopposed 3.5 years ago. Okay? We are a cross-section. Who votes? I don't control that. Okay, so that's number one, that we are, the council that appoints these positions is a cross-section. Number two, the comment was made last week and again this week about this item being removed from the consent agenda following significant public pushback. You can FOIA my email if you want. At 7:31 on Monday, April 7th, I sent an email to the mayor, the city clerk, our new city manager, welcome to town, Sean, Alex Volster, and our city attorney, that there was that item was on the consent agenda. Okay? I asked for one of 2 options. Either the appointment, our joint appointment to the board, be removed from the consent agenda so that I, as a voting member of council, could abstain, or alternatively, leave it on the consent agenda if it's easier, and I will abstain from the consent agenda. Okay? I sent the message at 7:31. Our city attorney responded at 7:33, and before noon, the mayor and the city clerk both responded, acknowledging that had been received. I don't know what time an ethics complaint was filed. I don't know when someone from the public contacted the city about the potential issue. But if we talk conflict of interest, and me personally, I take that very seriously, as I talked with Jeff Wilford of the Herald last week. I will not do anything to give anybody indication that I am a man that lacks integrity or honesty. And if I've got one asset in my life that means more to me than anything, it's my family name. And my family has done business with the Rempes and the DeRoys and the Bansters and the Vosses and the Barnards and everybody involved in this project. Okay? If I am unethical, if I am acting in a dishonest way, then this world's got a lot of problems, and I take offense to that comment. I'm insulted by the comment or insinuation that I am acting unethically, and that goes to, if you call me unethical and dishonest and lacking integrity, then you just said that about my father, my grandfather, and every dross that came before me. Thank you. With that, Rhonda.
All right, I'm going to try to make this as short as I can. I saw I want to go back to the 2080 when we lost. I felt like it was a 4-3 vote on the 2080, and I feel like we didn't have information on that either. I feel like we weren't informed, but I'm going to leave that aside. I want to talk about the appointments to a board that has divided this town, has divided this county, has divided people that, it's crazy, you guys. I've been on the phone 75 hours this week, and I'm not kidding. And I know I get emotional, but when I echo Charlie, I'm tired of people are saying things about me that aren't even true. I live at 1608 South 5th, just by the way. I know where I live. I leave the house at 4:30 in the morning to go to the gym. I leave my house at 7 to go to work. I'm home at 3:30. I work a second job and a third job, and I'm out. I know where I live. I know where I live, and I know I tell the truth. If there's one thing my father taught me, I tell the truth. So I applied to be on the Scrawl Board because I feel like we need a neutral, honest individual that represents the community. I say this everywhere I go, whether I'm in Fairway, whether I'm in church, whether I'm at work, whether I'm at my second job, my third job, wherever. I represent the city of Oskaloosa. I'm 53 years old. I've lived here 26 years almost, and I listened to the people that nominated and voted for me. Yes, I ran unopposed. I ran unopposed. I've been asked to run for mayor. I've been asked to run for county supervisor. I got people wanting to run my campaign. It's a city council. I'm like, fascinating. If you don't put signs in your yard, that's fascinating. I represent the people. And this has divided this town so dramatically for 25, 30 years. I feel like I had a friend that applied for the Scrawl Board too. He was told that it was a debt issue. We don't need it. If it's a debt issue and we don't need it, and it's about financing, I can tell you I can do that with the best of them. I want to be able to look at people when I go to Fairway and go to church and go to the Y and go to and say, you know what? It's amazing. I represent you. And I would honestly, I'm not picking on anybody, please, on this side of the room. I would actually ask all of you to think about it. Because it is truly, we represent the city of Oskaloosa, and we are Mahaska County. It needs to be put to rest, you guys. This community could go so much farther. And yes, I still do believe that I should be on the Scrawl Board. And yes, I do believe we need a neutral person. And I do believe we need somebody honest. And I do believe we need somebody that gives a shit about this community. So we can say whatever you want. You can follow me. I know where I live. You can say whatever you want. People asking me about my children and where they live, about my husband. You can leave them out of it. I got broad shoulders. My mom was German. I can take it. But there's one thing you need to remember. If I say it, it's the truth. It might not be pretty. Not everybody might not agree. But I listen to the fire department and the police department and the city and the representatives in this building and everybody in my ward, and not just in my ward, everywhere. And I want to do what you guys want me to do. And that's all I'll say.
I'm going to echo a little bit of Janet. We've got combined assets. I think it's been said before, the board, the Scrawl Board, that is, again, doesn't hold much power in and of itself. Again, so even if we elect somebody, we together still have to tell them what to do. So we still exert influence over them no matter who sits on it, because they can't act on their own. So that's what I got.
Can I ask just a technical question?
Sure.
Because it said appointed by the city of Oskaloosa to the board. Is that city with a capital C or small c? In other words, does it have to be an elected official? Or could it be
No.
anyone?
No.
I just wanted to clarify so that we're open about this before the vote. Because when it says city with a capital C, it almost sounds like it has to be.
No, it's not my understanding or perception that it needs to be any.
Okay. How long is the mayor of Pella's term?
Boy, I have no idea.
Well,
Rhonda, any-
Till the
Can
end of
I read what it says? And the
Sure.
mayor actually read this in the agenda item. As an elected official, let me find it here. As an elected official, they shall serve during the time they hold office. So as long as the mayor of Pella
And
holds
I understand
office,
that, yeah.
right, he will hold office.
Okay.
So, and we talked about neutral parties and that. The city of Pella, their 3 representatives, just again, full disclosure, so we all know, is the mayor, and then Mayor Don DeWard, and then Councilman John Butler, and Councilman Mark Dion.
And that's Pella's choice.
And that's Pella's choice. We
Okay.
have our own choice.
So as far as our own choice,
Mhm.
none of the representatives, correct me if I'm wrong, need to be an elected official. They just need to reside in Oskaloosa. I believe
I
you're
believe
correct.
that's correct.
So our choices are quite open, not limited. Okay.
And I believe Pam Blomgren, that we have 3 representatives. 2
She
are
was a
open.
previous
Pam Blomgren
council,
is still on
Right,
board.
right.
Mhm.
Right. She was a previous city council, but,
That's correct.
but technically holds no elected office now.
Correct.
Okay.
I think the last comment I'll make, then we can vote, unless other people have comments, and David, I think you had referenced this, is that what I hear people saying is that really we have 2 issues at hand in the community. Number one, we have the agenda items tonight. We have appointments to the SCRA board, okay? But much of the public outcry is about the existence of a potential, the existence of the potential of an airport being built. Okay? That is not a topic that the SCRA board addresses. Per the amended 2080, and I really hope that everybody with an opinion on it has read every last word of it. Because I've read this in the last 2 weeks. I can't tell you, Nick, I can't tell you how many times I've read this. And I've read the ethics complaint that was filed against me. Nice authorship there. You're welcome. There's 2 separate issues here. As David, I think Janet had said, there are almost 400 acres under the ownership of the SCRAA. Okay? That is an asset that needs managed. The agenda items for the next SCRA board meeting, if you haven't looked at it, includes basically 2 items. The annual election of officers and the approval of a farm lease to Robert DeRoy.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Ocean,
We're voting on, just want to clarify, we've had a lot of discussion.
The appointment of the mayor.
I'm not used to being first, sorry. Gathering my thoughts. So we're voting on approval
of the mayor's appointment.
no.
Almond,
No.
Calaburi,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Drost,
Yes.
Hermson,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Moving on, item J. This is to consider a motion appointing Bob Drost to the South Central Regional Airport Agency. And so, same opening paragraph that talks about the approval of the 2080 agreement amendment with Pella in December of 2024. This created the openings for 3 members for the city of Oskaloosa, and at the time of this writing there were two vacancies. Now that would be 1. The project has been on hold since July of 2024. While there's no progress anticipated, The SCRA owns 379 acres of real estate that needs to be managed. Of the applicants, Mr. Drost has the most experience dealing with real estate and is the most familiar with agricultural practices. Due to Bob Drost being an elected official, he, likewise of the previous item, will serve during the time he holds office, entitling him to such representative status unless terminated by resolution of the party so represented. Do we have a motion supporting the appointment of Bob Drost?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the appointment of Bob Drost? We'll start with you, Lisa.
No.
Okay. Joe?
I have no comment.
Charlie?
My feelings on the regional airport have not changed. I just think there's a better way to tear it down than to do it through SCRAW. It should be done here at the council level. And I also just want to say, again, just to reiterate something I said before, I guess, to everybody who wants to make comments about Rhonda, about Bob, get a life or run for office in November. That's all I got.
Okay. Janet?
No, sir.
Okay. Rhonda?
I think I said everything. I'm good.
Abu?
I got a question for you, though. It's a can of worms, and I'm sure at some point we'll come down to it, because as the comments keep circling around, we don't want scraw from members of the community. I think having an understanding of what that even looks like, because I don't think it's as easy as going, we're not doing this anymore. Like, you know, like I said, I'm not going to play golf anymore, so I sell my clubs. I don't think it's that easy, I presume.
Well, that's right in a broad sense. I mean, obviously, we're deep into this thing. There's a lot that's happened. There have been some federal funds granted. Federal funds have been used for acquisition of some other real estate. Some of the original airport ground has been sold. Now, not the areas where the actual cross with the runways run, but the triangular portions and those cross sections, if you can follow my poor visuals here. Those have been sold. There are things that need to be sorted out if, in fact, the airport project is going to die and going to go to the grave. There are going to have to be some determinations about how funds are going to be paid back to the Federal Aviation Administration, how to deal with an issue if there's any shortage, that those are not going to be repaid, although I think there is provision for the waiver of any claims on that in that situation. So the answer to your question, I guess, is yes, no. Conceptually, yes, it's kind of a simple yes, no. Does the city going to what I think Charlie may mention before, somebody did about essentially the two issues. That one, I suppose, is essentially a simple question. Are we going to go ahead or not? Now, if we are not, then it becomes a little more complex, unwinding and unspooling the thing. So to that extent, there's more involved. But fundamentally, at the core of the thing is that simple decision. Does the city want to go ahead or not? And right now, once again, I'm not on those committees. I'm not privy to their inner workings. But my understanding generally is that the project is not only paused, but in fact, it does not look like it's going to be going forward.
Sounds good. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Any final comments? Roll call.
Almond?
No.
Caligari?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Drost?
Abstain.
Hermson?
Yes.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Ocean?
No.
Okay, that passes 4-2. Moving on to item K. This is to consider a resolution to approve the final plans, specification, form of contract, and estimated cost for storm sewer improvements. These would be at B Avenue West and North 8th Street project. This does require a public hearing. Garden & Associates has prepared the plans and specs for the storm sewer improvements, B Avenue West and North 8th Street project. The scope of work for this project is the reconstruction of stormwater infrastructure at the intersection of North 8th Street and B Avenue West. Consisting of these major items. There's the one manhole, 4 stormwater intakes, approximately 345 feet of new storm pipe, and 428 square yards of PCC concrete paving. The engineer's estimate, $173,307. If the project is awarded, the notice to proceed will be issued on or around June 2nd, 2025, and has 20 working days assigned to the project. So now is the time for interested persons to express their opinions concerning the project plans, specification, form of contract, and the engineer's estimate of cost. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion from council?
Sean Murphy, keep up the good work on getting those bids.
Roll call, please.
Comfort?
Yes.
Drost?
Yes.
Hermson?
Yes.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Almond?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item L. This is to consider a resolution that awards the contract for the storm sewer improvements on B Avenue West and North H. As described, there were 6 bids received, with the lower bid submitted by KLC Construction. The bid was in the total amount $135,262, which is $38,045, 22%, below the engineer's estimate of $173,307. Engineering consultant for the project, Gardner & Associates, they reviewed the bids and recommend the award of the contract to KLC. If the project is awarded, the notice to proceed will be issued on or around June 2nd of 2025. It has 20 working days assigned to the project, and if the contract is approved, staff is recommending the council also authorize $13,500, which is about 10% of the construction contract, as project contingency for unforeseen circumstances, and that would be administered by the city manager. Do we have a motion of support, including the additional amount, the $13,500 available for the city manager's use?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Drost?
Yes.
Hermson?
Yes.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Almond?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item M. Is consider a resolution approving electronic bidding procedures and distribution of preliminary official statement. City of Oskaloosa is in need of funds to pay for essential corporate purposes, proceeds of which notes would be used to provide funds to pay for the costs of opening, widening, extending, grading, and draining of right-of-way streets, highways, avenues, alleys, and public grounds, the construction, reconstruction, and repairing of any street improvements, the acquisition, installation, and repair of sidewalks, storm sewers, sanitary sewers, water service lines, street lighting, and traffic control devices, and the acquisition of any real estate needed for any of the foregoing purposes, including, which is primarily for the Southeast Connector Project, in an amount not to exceed $2,955,000. That dollar amount, of course, is subject to the adjustment depending on the offering. These are GO, General Obligation Loan Notes, Series 2025A. Public Financial Advisors, LLC, provided a recommendation that electronic bidding procedures be utilized for this note sale. Based on this recommendation, the Iowa Code requires the council make a finding that the recommended procedure will provide reasonable security and maintain the integrity of the competitive bidding process and facilitate the delivery of bids by interested parties under the circumstances of the particular sale. So the council has been provided, and it was included in the agenda, a preliminary official statement, or the POS, for the city of Oskaloosa. Careful review of the draft POS by appropriate city staff and members of the council is an important step in the offering of the notes for sale to the public. And approval of this resolution authorizes its distribution with respect to the above referenced issues. We have a motion of support for this.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion. First of all, did everybody get a chance to read it?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Better question, did everybody read it?
Sure.
I sent an email to Pam thanking her for the opportunity for such a I mean, it's just attention grabbing thrill.
Some light reading.
But and again, I think I told you, Pam, as someone who has been in the financial world and prospectuses and notices and bond issuance and such, it's kind of intriguing, actually, if you read it. I did not read all, 87 pages or whatever it was, but I did go through most of it, and it's very interesting. And in my review, I didn't see anything that didn't line up with what we've talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. Other comments? Okay.
So you're welcome to this.
Let's see, we've got plenty of time. Would you explain to us the 10% rule test that is in the terms of offering? Never mind. But yeah, it's a good piece of work. I do want to, this is probably the right time to do it too, that we had our meeting with Moody's last week, in which that rating we'll be getting that on Friday. If you think about it, this is a bond issue that was teed up by the city clerk and city manager back before the end of the calendar year. Then when it rolls around to actually putting rubber to the road, we've got the retirement of the city clerk, we have the resignation of the city manager, and so, okay, let's find out what our bench is made of. And so at that meeting, there was, Sean was there, and then we also had Pam and then Sean Christ as well. And I guess I was in on it as well. But talk about if you're not someone who's terribly experienced, then you get organized and you practice. And I felt like we had the A-team that so organized, and the presentation skills that were used to just walk our story through, and what a great story it was. So as she had additional questions for us, we were able to answer them very quickly, but it was all of her questions were coming in the dust of, this is the momentum that the city of Oskaloosa has, and here's what's happened since 3 years ago when you did your bond issue. So I wanted to commend, Pam, Sean, you did outstanding work, and so I want to thank you very much for the work done, and we'll find out on Friday whether it was worth it or not, but well done. So anyway, any other comments?
Well, Tom, it's really what helped is the communication, keeping abreast of what's going on, keeping on track, and everything. So when the time came, walk right through it.
Yep. Roll call, please.
Hermsen?
Yes.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Almond?
Yes.
Caligiuri?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Drops?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item N. As this is to consider a resolution to approve a master professional services agreement between the City of Oskaloosa and Terracon Consultants. So, Terracon Services includes assessing existing conditions of a pool excavation and sites prior to any new work starting. This is on the competition pool, I assume. The assessment focuses on soil conditions, the testing of granular materials, and the testing of subgrade soils. The agreement allows the city manager to authorize task orders not to exceed $10,000 that come from Terracon. Do we have a motion of support for this?
So move.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Almond?
Yes.
Caligiuri?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Drops?
Yes.
Hermsen?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item O. This is to consider a resolution entering into a contract for purchase of a 2025 towing pumper tanker and an amendment to the CIP. So, Chief, looks like you've got a few things you can add to this.
Just what you needed, right?
Yeah.
All right, after all your talk about the budget and CIPs, leave it to the fire department to throw a little monkey wrench in the whole thing. If you remember back in January when we had our budget talk, we talked about the 2026 CIP item that we had for a new tanker potentially, that we would start in 26, it would take 3 years if we purchased something that day to get delivered 3 years later. I also threw the idea out of a pumper tanker, which is a relatively new concept, but I'm going to go all the way back before I was even here when they built the new portion of the station. They built it at that time, this is my estimation, to meet the needs of what we had at that time. It's not so much meeting the needs for the future. So we have a 1996 tanker that currently, if you go by NFPA standards, supposed to run the trucks 20 years, and then after 25 years, the trucks should be switched out. Obviously, we're going on 30 years with that tanker. The tank is leaking again and has to be fixed for the third time. It was a lifetime warranty on that tank, but even that manufacturer, due to the age of that truck, has said we're not going to, honor that due to the age of the truck after this time. So it's currently back to where it's draining into our drain because it has a leak in it.
There's also a front fender on that truck that literally broke into about 15 pieces several months ago. We have it glued back together. And I
Chief is good at
firmly
puzzles.
believe the next time that truck goes out and goes down gravel road, it's gonna be in pieces again. So that's kind of the story. That was due in '26 to start at a cost of $650,000. Gonna pause for just a second. I've got Shane Langdon with me. He's been a member of the fire department many, many years, one of our full-time firemen. Each department has to have that guy that it takes care of trucks, does research on the type of stuff we're talking about tonight. I can't tell you how much money this guy saved the city by his knowledge of trucks, doing the work in-house. Every department has to have one. He's the right guy for the job here. When I told him, we talked about this idea of a pumper tanker, Shane started researching it right away. I told you that there was a possibility we could find a demo. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. Shane worked a lot of hours and did find one from Toyne. So the truck we were originally looking at was $650,000 for that tanker. Right after that, as soon as that would get done, we would have to start talking about a 2000 pumper that we have. That's going to be 25, it's basically 25 years this year. So we're looking at replacing both of those trucks into one, which is a 3,000-gallon tanker, but it also allows us to take personnel to the scene, 5 or 6 people to the scene, plus bring the same amount of water as those 2 trucks would. Same amount of people, same amount of water, one truck. Once we get this truck, whichever truck we end up doing, we can only do one truck, basically. If we were to get a tanker and then several years down the line get a new pumper, we don't have room to put it in the new station, and the old station will not fit it because the trucks are just that much taller now, it won't even fit in there. So that's where we're looking at this 2-to-1. So anyways, 2000 pumper would be an estimated, I got these numbers today, $950,000. If we did that and ran it out to 2032, just saying that's the time that we would get that. So you're roughly looking at $1.5 million. We have the ability to purchase the truck we're talking about for, it was $650,000. We did add some things that would allow us to do the job in Oskaloosa that we need to do. Some add-ons brought the price of that truck that we're talking about up to $744,000. I threw this on Sean his first week. The other things that he got.
You could have said hello first and then. That's not your style.
That was probably in there.
He probably said, hi, buy me a truck.
We feel passionately, we want to do what's best for the city. This is going to save the city a lot of money.
Yeah.
We talked obviously with Pam, there's wiggle room in this year's current budget. We need a $20,000 down payment to secure this truck for us, and they will start then putting our additions onto it.
That's what I was going to ask you. How long do you have?
I was going to say, what's your delivery?
How long do you, before you get, I mean, is it?
September.
Okay.
Correct. So we would take delivery in September. It's going to come off the line, I believe, in July. It does have to go to some places as a demo truck just to be shown. The plan is if we can get that down payment to them, they start doing our stuff when it goes out and it gets shown to the other places, it's going to be getting shown with the name Oskaloosa on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
So that, like I said, September would be the estimated time of taking possession of it. So obviously, change to the CIP, the budget or the recommendation, obviously, after talking to Pam, $20,000 will come out, of this year's budget. The remainder, 2026 from 001 general fund, 121 loss fund, and then we were just named as a recipient to someone that passed away, and we got a pretty large sum of money that we were able to put $200,000 towards the purchase of the trucks
Huge.
and still allow us to have some money to get some other stuff that is above and beyond normal budget items. So extra $200,000 there. And then, the rest would be out of 007, which is franchise fees. So, anything you want to add to what I said?
Not just increasing the value of an engine if we wait.
If this works and our one of the things that we'd be looking at, that tanker's not worth that money. 1996, it's not worth that money. Somebody might get it and use it as a water truck.
Welcome, Sean.
You don't really even see stations.
Aside from the leaking
There's
tank,
only
it's
a
perfect.
certain number of members that
Little
need to
Jake,
drive it.
I know.
That I would want to drive.
So Scott, that, you know, you buy new things, you get all the bells and whistles with it. With it being used or a demo, is there anything that you don't get, like for warranty, or I mean, does it change any?
The warranty's still there.
Still
Still as in day one warranty.
Okay.
And that's the way the pumper was that we got a couple years ago.
Okay.
Yep, warranty's still good. There was something else I was gonna say, and I just lost my train of thought, but any other questions? Yes?
I'm still waiting for a ride on
I
the
knew she was
last
gonna say
truck.
that. She was gonna say that. Janet and I are
You just got a call,
first.
right? You just got a
I
call.
got left out.
Janet and I are first again.
So I had a question on the nature of service. So we've got two vehicles right now. Do the pumper and the tanker typically go the same places at the same time, or do they split up and go different directions? Because I'm wondering about whether or not this would diminish somehow our service.
So we have a city pumper, which is the truck we got a couple years ago. This is considered our reserve pumper or our country truck.
Okay.
So right now, we would take that 2000 Freightliner that we have to the country with this 1996 and another tanker.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to allow us to take the one truck instead of the two.
Okay.
And still bring as many people to the
Because it
city
holds, oh, yeah.
as the two trucks plus the same amount of water.
And that was my question, was just, is it only for, basically they're always used in tandem with one another is what I'm hearing. Okay, okay.
And then,
No, it's good,
back
Chief.
to you. Just for future reference, as trucks come up in the future, they're not gonna fit anywhere but in that new area, and we're going to seriously need to look at possibly adding on to the, front of the bay areas.
So the height to be okay would be the width, or the
Correct.
length, okay.
And that in itself is going to be, that will come with the price tag, so we're not there yet, but I want to throw that out there just so you're aware.
Question I have, I'm not familiar with towing. I mean, the name I associate with fire trucks is Pierce. Quality, I mean, difference, or is it just you're either a Chevy guy or a Ford guy, or you a towing guy or a Pierce guy? Is it similar?
HME is the one that we bought a couple years ago. We had just purchased a towing in Fairfield about a year before I came here. I had good luck with it. It's in Breda, Iowa. So it's about, between 2 and 3 hours away. So if we do need work on it, we're not waiting for somebody out of Wisconsin or, a long ways away to get here.
Good, thank you.
Okay. Did we have a motion for this?
You not.
Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion.
Sorry.
Second.
Sean?
I was just gonna make one extra comment, and you illustrated everything really well. My concern with doing this right now, as we kind of discussed, this was fund balance, and the fact that this can save $100,000 from the emissions, the fact that we can have the $200,000 donation, all of those things lessen that, that hit to the fund balance. And right now, the estimated fund balance is 66%, and the city has to have 25%. So we're in a position that we can do that. This would bring it down to 58%. And we're still well above where we need to be. So just financially, I feel comfortable with this happening right now.
Okay.
And it's an important thing.
I'm not sure if I said it earlier in my statement or not, but buying the one truck to replace the two trucks at this time with the emissions and everything else, you're gonna be looking at $800,000 of savings, probably.
Yeah.
800 in that area, so.
Okay. Great.
Good job, Shane.
Yeah, great.
Good job, Scott.
Okay, we have a motion. Second, any additional questions or comments?
Still waiting.
September.
Okay.
She just got a call.
Roll call, please.
Motion.
Yes.
Holman.
Yes.
Calendary.
Yes.
Comfort.
Yes.
Groff.
Yes.
Hermson.
Yes.
Ibrahim.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. It gets us to the end of the regular agenda. Reports from city staff. City manager, anything you'd like to add?
In my first couple of weeks, I have had about 45, somewhere around there, meetings with individual staff members, and I just want to say I've been super impressed with our staff members, and just they really all care about the city and want to do a good job, and our department heads are just doing. I've been very impressed with what our department heads are bringing to the table for the city, and just wanted to compliment them. We have a really awesome staff. The other thing is, do you have something on the aquatic center?
Yeah, so on February 18th, City Council approved of a pool repair plan to the recreation pool. I have results here today that repair plan has been tested and does hold water. We have passed the water tightness test that we did not pass before.
Fantastic.
Nice. Very nice. Okay. City clerk, anything?
No, sir.
Okay. City attorney?
Nothing, thank you, sir.
Okay. Abu?
Nope.
Okay, Rhonda?
I know we normally talk about our commission boards on a quarterly basis, but I got the opportunity last Thursday through the Landfill Commission to work out at the fairgrounds. They had an ag day. We had 350 third graders every 10 minutes. It was teaching about recycling, and I'm going to be honest with you, I think we taught the teachers and the parents that tagged along as much as we taught the third graders. It was fascinating. And I say this because even myself didn't realize as much recycling as we do having going on down at the landfill, and the different spots in the area of town where you can drop off bags or glass or anything else. And so I encourage everybody, tomorrow is Earth Day. I encourage everybody to, if you don't know about the landfill, the guy's name is Joe Ferris, and he does a fantastic job. I taught all day with him. I don't know how he had a voice, because I hardly had a voice when we were done, to visit our landfill, or to, if you have any questions, call. We're going to do a e-cycle this Saturday at the Musco parking lot. Bring in anything you need from 8 to 11. But what it just was so well organized by everyone that was out there. There was teachings of the rural water, of all different things, and I wished I was a third grader, because I never went to anything like that. It was just fantastic. So kudos to all the volunteers. Kudos to everybody that put it together. It was just a great opportunity for our third graders, and it was the whole Mahaska County, every third grader in Mahaska County. So.
That was a cool deal. Honestly, I just wanted to say I appreciate the council and discussions that we have, and we can agree to disagree. Obviously, Rhonda and I disagree on the topic tonight, but yet Rhonda and I can still have coffee in the morning, right?
Yes.
That's what it's all about. We don't have to agree on everything. We all have our own opinions, but we're still working together for the best interests of the community, and I think that's what we're charged with as council members.
I agree.
Janet?
Yeah, a little bit outside of the community, but it affects the fire department. And I spoke with Chief Vaughn a couple weeks ago. I sit on the Roll Screen Foundation board kind of for Oskaloosa, and we have granted the pagers for the fire department. So they'll be seeing a grant come for that, and that will hopefully help the reserves. So really excited to be on that board and to help improve Oskaloosa when we can.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Charlie?
Nope.
Okay. Joe?
Nothing.
Lisa?
Yes, I read this in the Sunday Register. I still like a paper newspaper. I'm a historian. And the Des Moines City Council has made a strong request to examine their conflict of interest policy. And I would recommend that our own council do this. And to quote the Des Moines Register on Sunday, what that is: an apparent conflict of interest is when a reasonable person, in quotes, believes that a council member's judgment would be compromised according to city code. The ordinance prohibits council members from voting, taking official actions, or publicly discussing items in which they have, quote, direct or indirect financial interest. It also says council members and their immediate family members are ineligible to apply for or accept certain financial assistance from city-funded programs. So I think we need to examine again our conflict of interest. It's been an interesting evening in that there is an elephant sitting in the middle of this room. And we all know what it is. So anyway, I do want to find out more on the finances at the airport. It's been a very old issue. I think looking back on the history of it, and I went to the library to research it when I ran for county supervisors in 2020, and that is, I think it was once a good idea. But things change. So with that said, I do want to examine our own conflict of interest policy and having that clear and transparent for the council and the community. So thank you.
A couple of things, I guess. Addressing your question, the funding of the SCRAA for, you might remember back in the day, it was financed through both the cities of Oskaloosa and Pella. There wasn't any Mahaska County money that went into it. That funding came from the sale of farm ground that was owned, the sale of assets. And so from time to time I hear someone say, well, city taxpayer money is going into this project. No, not that. But boy, look at all the money that was spent. Look at all the property acquired, that sort of thing. And it's a blend, right? That the FAA was very supportive when we started the project, and so they signed on a 20-year grant, 90% funding for doing what the SCRA does. And so that's what was proceeding, 379 acres worth of acquisition. At the time, thinking back to when we when we started getting into resistance, and then ultimately put the thing on pause, I wasn't directly involved with the SCRAA, but I was informed that the offer in play at the time for farm ground was $50,000 an acre. And it's, I guess where I go with that is to say I respect the decision made to turn down that kind of money. If somebody were to say $50,000 an acre for your farm ground, lay it on the table and leave it there for a year and a half, and not pick it up. So I respect the decision. And so with that puts the SCRAA in a position where it says, okay, we understand. So we will, back in July, put the thing on pause. And then as we put it on pause, then go back and take care of the ground that the SCRAA owns, farm leases. And then ongoing conversation, to how do you go about and what's the timeline for winding things down. But I do have a deep appreciation for the decision that has to be made if you own farm ground. We have a century-old farm ground in my family. And I remember having the conversation with my dad and him saying, if you had the opportunity, would you do it? And he said, I'd give it a lot of thought. And I won't give you the ultimate answer, but he said I would be looking back on my ancestors who bought the stuff and said, this I bequeath to you upon my passing. And then you look to your future generations and say, is that what you want to bequeath to the next generation? $50,000 an acre was the offer to have that mental process go. So anyway, I wanted to express my appreciation for that. And to ditto what's already been said, I also want to express my appreciation to the council. It's so easy to get personal. And when people talk to me about, how can you put up with so-and-so on the council, I talk about how in politics we have one boss, and that is the people of Oskaloosa. And as such, we need to work together for the best of Oskaloosa. We have different ideas on that, but in our arguments, we we need to compartmentalize those issues and acknowledge that yes, we have the disagreement, but for the better good of Oskaloosa, we continue to work on and find a way to set those aside when the fight's done and the vote's taken, it's over. So I appreciate the amount of reach that requires to be able to do that sort of compartmentalization. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Aye.